A local celebrity. We have a pastor preaching on the pulpit. We have an imam in the mosque. And then we have a spiritualist fighting drama for Dakpana title in local country. So the church that like operated in battle with our presidency. And a lot of people very real. I don't like for us to be discussing president in this country to be discussing we as president. We was a commercial comical hub. Only here to entertain us when we are sad. We are 6 years in the presidency. We was only here to entertain Liberians, not to make presidential decisions. So we don't discuss. We are saying I must be very frank. When people discussing we are in front of me as president, a local celebrity. We have a pastor preaching on the pulpit. We have an imam in the mosque. And then we have a spiritualist fighting drama for Dakpana title in local country. So the church that like operated in battle with our presidency. And a lot of people very real. I don't like for us to be discussing president in this country to be discussing we as president. We was a commercial comical hub. Only here to entertain us when we are sad. We are 6 years in the presidency. We was only here to entertain Liberians, not to make presidential decisions. So we don't discuss. We are saying I must be very frank. When people discussing we are in front of me as president, a local celebrity. We have a pastor preaching on the pulpit. We have an imam in the mosque. And then we have a spiritualist fighting drama for Dakpana title in local country. So the church that like operated in battle with our presidency. And a lot of people very real. I don't like for us to be discussing president in this country to be discussing we as president. We was a commercial comical hub. Only here to entertain us when we are sad.
He said, let you know the Bible said, hello. The Bible said, and I were without form. And God commanded, he said, let the water separate from the dry land. And so the war separated. And the whole form was still dark. And then the Almighty God spoke again, said, let there be light. It's coming. So, the Heavenly Father.
So the light is on. The light is on. Light is on. First do lights on. Lights on. Hello, Jerry. How you doing?
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. So how you feel right now for the work you've done?
I feel excited to see the people of Portland, foreign have been
Wow. So how long did it take you to do all of that?
It took me 2 weeks to tell the installation.
All right. So here after, where are we going to?
We are going to Boleken to 10 and 11 also.
So the five different areas, Boleken, Port Town, then Tuzon. When Tuzon next, and when the two communities is ready next?
Tuzon will be starting the project in Tuzon. A New Year's finish will be starting the project. And we are already completed the project in Boleken.
So you are happy to see your work is on, right?
Yes, I'm very, very happy now.
And so the light is on. The superintendent just lighted it. And so it's on, so you can see there. This is Port Town. And for the first time in history, Port Town is having light supported by the government of this country. And we have the service provided by the LRB Energy. And so this is an initiative of the local authority with support from the government of the Republic of Liberia under His Excellency Joseph Mabuakai. Hereafter, we'll be going to Boleken, where similar work will be done. Lighting will be done. So that's it right now. Join us shortly. Well, this is Boleken, and the superintendent has just switched off or switched on the light, the street lights in Boleken. And so previously it was in Port Town, and this is Boleken.
Water, we can run to select them. Some people in the town, they're not let to drink from water. But what we do, because of no hand, and today we are so happy for the Portanet to get pouring in the town. It just happened, I told my chairman, I said, you're stopping me, say, let me reach down there to tell the people thank you. And so now we're there to see out. So we tell you thank you very much. Honorable, the Portanet say, thank you to you and your staff. Thank you. Standing before you.
I want to use this time to extend my thanks and appreciation to the Almighty God. This is what is there, at least for us to be here. And I also want to extend my thanks and appreciation to the local authority of this county. You know, once upon a time, my father told me, when you are somebody that can brush, before you tell somebody, say, I'll finish your farm today, you're not looking at your strength. But the people that surrounding you, they are the ones that you are looking at. For which you will say, I'll finish your farm today. So I'm saying this because the county leadership are the one today that stand firm for us to get the courage. So on behalf of the commissioners, I want to say a big thank you to our leadership who make sure for us to get the courage. So I want to thank you for listening to me. He said, let you know the Bible said, hello. The Bible said, and I were without form. And God commanded, he said, let the water separate from the dry land. And so the water separated. And the whole form was still dark. And then the Almighty God spoke again, said, let there be light.
Liberia has officially begun its 2-year term on the United Nations Security Council, starting today, January 2nd, 2026, and running until December 31st, 2027. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Liberia will serve as a non-permanent member, working with other nations to promote peace and global security. As part of the installation ceremony, the Liberian flag was raised today at the United Nations headquarters in New York at 5 p.m. Liberian time, marking Liberia's formal entry onto the Security Council. Liberia ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Louis Brown, represented the country.
I bring warm New Year greetings from His Excellency Joseph Newman Boykai, President of the Republic of Liberia, and extend Liberia's sincere appreciation to Slovenia, Algeria, Guyana, Sierra Leone, and the Republic of Korea for their service and stewardship of the Security Council during the 2024-2025 terms. Liberia congratulates Somalia on assuming the presidency of the Council and takes this moment to thank Kazakhstan for sustaining this important tradition. It is one that reminds us that membership of the Security Council carries not only procedural obligation, but also deep responsibility. Today, as our flag, the Lone Star, is installed in these halls, ceremonial change. It is a defining moment in Liberia's national journey and a reflection of President Boykai's enduring belief that peace is both a privilege and certainly a duty. 8 years ago, the United Nations flag was lowered in Liberia to signal the end of the peacekeeping mission and the return of full responsibility for peace and security to the government and people of Liberia. That moment challenged us to prove that peace could endure beyond the presence of peacekeepers. Through commitment to democracy, institutional reforms, and national reconciliation, Liberia has met the challenge. More than 22 years after the comprehensive peace agreement, Liberia stands peaceful, democratic, and stable. Our flag now flies here not as a symbol of recovery, but as a symbol of responsibility and a testament of our readiness to serve. After 65 years, Liberia returns to the Security Council through its first full elected mandate, supported by 181 member states. That vote, to us, reflects global confidence in Liberia's voice and in the values President Boykai has continued to articulate, the values of dialogue over division, cooperation over conflict, and responsibility over isolation. Let's be clear. Liberia is here because multilateralism worked, because the Security Council acted with resolve, because the African Union and ECOWAS stood firm, and because partners across the world believed that even nations emerging from conflict can contribute to global peace. President Boykai's vision could not be clearer. Peace anywhere strengthens peace everywhere. Insecurity anywhere threatens stability everywhere. Liberia's own experience affirms that sustainable peace is built through dialogue, inclusion, and respect for human dignity. Excellencies, with this mandate, Liberia comes to the Security Council guided by experience and anchored in the United Nations Charter. We come committed to diplomacy because we have lived the cost of its absence. We come determined to build bridges, encourage consensus, and contribute constructively to a safer world. The nameplate will read Liberia. The seat is Africa's. But Liberia's outlook, we promise you, will be global. It will be rooted in the conviction that peaceful coexistence is a shared responsibility. Finally, Liberia is ready to serve toward a just and peaceful world. I thank you for your kind attention.
The government of Liberia has thanked the United Nations member states for the confidence placed in Liberia and says it is ready to play an active role in promoting peace and stability worldwide. Cool 91.9 FM, Daniel Theophilus co-reporting. Liberia has officially begun its 2-year term on the United Nations Security Council, starting today, January 2nd, 2026, and running until December 31st, 2027. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Liberia will serve as a non-permanent member, working with other nations to promote peace and global security. As part of the installation ceremony, the Liberian flag was raised today at the United Nations headquarters in New York at 5 p.m. Liberian time, marking Liberia's formal entry onto the Security Council. Liberia Ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Louis Brown, represented the country.
I bring warm New Year greetings from His Excellency Joseph Newman Boakai, President of the Republic of Liberia, and extend Liberia's sincere appreciation to Slovenia, Algeria, Guyana, Sierra Leone, and the Republic of Korea for their service and stewardship of the Security Council during the 2024-2025 terms. Liberia congratulates Somalia on assuming the presidency of the Council and takes this moment to thank Kazakhstan for sustaining this important tradition. It is one that reminds us that membership of the Security Council carries not only procedural obligation, but also deep responsibility. Today, as our flag, the Lone Star, is installed in these halls, we mark more than a ceremonial change. It is a defining moment in Liberia's national journey and a reflection of President Boakai's enduring belief that peace is both a privilege and certainly a duty. 8 years ago, the United Nations flag was lowered in Liberia to signal the end of the peacekeeping mission and the return of full responsibility for peace and security to the government and people of Liberia. That moment challenged us to prove that peace could endure beyond the presence of peacekeepers. Through commitment to democracy, institutional reforms, and national reconciliation, Liberia has met the challenge. More than 22 years after the comprehensive peace agreement, Liberia stands peaceful, democratic, and stable. Our flag now flies here not as a symbol of recovery, but as a symbol of responsibility and a testament of our readiness to serve. After 65 years, Liberia returns to the Security Council through its first full elected mandate, supported by 181 member states. That vote, to us, reflects global confidence in Liberia's voice and in the values President Boakai has continued to articulate, the values of dialogue over division, cooperation over conflict, and responsibility over isolation. Let's be clear. Liberia is here because multilateralism worked, because the Security Council acted with resolve, because the African Union and ECOWAS stood firm, and because partners across the world believed that even nations emerging from conflict can contribute to global peace. President Boyka's vision could not be clearer. Peace anywhere strengthens peace everywhere. Insecurity anywhere threatens stability everywhere. Liberia's own experience affirms that sustainable peace is built through dialogue, inclusion, and respect for human dignity. Excellencies, with this mandate, Liberia comes to the Security Council guided by experience and anchored in the United Nations Charter. We come committed to diplomacy because we have lived the cost of its absence. We come determined to build bridges, encourage consensus, and contribute constructively to a safer world. The nameplate will read Liberia. The seat is Africa's. But Liberia's outlook, we promise you, will be global. It will be rooted in the conviction that peaceful coexistence is a shared responsibility. Finally, Liberia is ready to serve toward a just and peaceful world. I thank you for your kind attention.
The government of Liberia has thanked the United Nations member states for the confidence placed in Liberia and says it is ready to play an active role in promoting peace and stability worldwide. Cool 91.9 FM, Daniel Theophilus co-reporting. Liberia has officially begun its 2-year term on the United Nations Security Council, starting today, January 2nd, 2026, and running until December 31st, 2027. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Liberia will serve as a non-permanent member, working with other nations to promote peace and global security. As part of the installation ceremony, the Liberian flag was raised today at the United Nations headquarters in New York at 5 p.m. Liberian time, marking Liberia's formal entry onto the Security Council. Liberia Ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Louis Brown, represented
a local celebrity. We have a pastor preaching on the pulpit. We have an imam in the mosque. And then we have a spiritualist fighting drama of Dakpana Tato in local country. So the church here like operated in battle with our presidency. And a lot of people very real. I don't like for us to be discussing president in this country to be discussing we as president. We was a commercial filmmaker hub. Only here to entertain us when we are sad. We are 6 years in the presidency. We was only here to entertain Liberians, not to make presidential decisions. So we don't discuss. We are. I must be very frank. When people discussing we are in front of me as president, a local celebrity, we have a pastor preaching on the pulpit, we have an imam in the mosque, and then we have a spiritualist fighting drama of Dakpana Tato in local country. So the church there like operated in battle. Our presidency. And a lot of people very real. I don't like for us to be discussing president in this country to be discussing we as president. We was a commercial filmmaker hub. Only here to entertain us when we are sad. We are 6 years in the presidency. We was only here to entertain Liberians, not to make presidential decisions. So we don't discuss. We are sit and I must be very frank. When people
Out whether you can fly, you will cease forever to be able to do it. And the moment you doubt whether you can fly, you cease forever to be able to do it. Believe you can, and you are halfway just there. Success is not the absence of failure, it is the persistence through failure. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Today is 05012026. Today is the 5th day in the year 2026 and the 5th day of the first month of the year, January. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. And on today, on the 5th of January, 5 days in the year, in 1996, Liberia was in its brutal first civil war between 1989 to 1997. A ceasefire from the 1995 Abuja Accord was broken down, to be precise, with factions leaders failing to disengage forces and disarmed as required. The conflict has already caused immense casualties, over 200,000 dead, massive displacement, about 750,000 refugees, and widespread human rights abuses, including killing, rape, and mutilations. On today, the 5th of January in 1996. In 1999, on today, Liberia was in its tense period just before the outbreak of the Second Civil War, and marked by the regional instability, with Liberia President Charles Taylor accused of supporting Sierra Leone RUF rebels, leading to the international pressure and growing internal opposition that would soon erupt into the renewed conflict, setting the stage for alert rebels to make attack in 1999 on today. Today, the 5th of January in 2005, Liberia was focused on a post-election governance and national reconciliation. President Joseph Boakai traveled to Ghana to attend the inauguration ceremony of the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and Vice President-elect Jenny Nana Apoku Ayeme. And the executive mansion saw in a soap and a unifying address delivered at the EJS Ministerial Complex. January 5, 2025, Liberia's President Joseph Boakai led the nations in a moment of reflections, healing, and commitment to lasting reconciliation. The Liberia Reconciliation, Healing, and Unity program brought together survivors of Liberia's civil war and the pandemic, traditional leaders, women and youth groups, civil society organizations, members of the diplomatic corps, and senior government officials to reckon with the country's painful past and renew the national commitment to unity and justice. President Boakai emphasized that the gathering was not merely ceremonial, but a vital national exercise to reflect deeply on the soul of our country and to ensure that reconciliation becomes a living or a live reality for all Liberians. On the 5th of January in 1941, Liberia, under the rule of President Edwin Barclay, was navigating World War II complexity, seeking U.S. support for economic development, especially rubber, while facing the German threats to shipping and seeking to maintain neutrality, culminating in a shift towards the Allies and eventual U.S. military presence later that year. The Liberian iron ore and rubber resources were crucial for the Allied war efforts, making its neutrality a complex balancing art. Liberia initially remained neutral but learned towards the ally and a common stance of African nations caught between accordingly of power and escalating war. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Today's in history is a regular feature in our programs. We'll bring you happiness into history for your consumption. And today, the European Codeates winter in 500 years began to take place on today in 1709. It will kill hundreds of thousands of people and make travel trade nearly impossible and disrupt two wars. And still trying to understand the cause of what became known as the Great First in 1709 on today. Have you heard about Umberto Eco, an Italian author and a Liberian? Born today in 1932 on the 5th of January into the Alessandria, Italy, but he died at the age of 84 on the 19th of February in 2016 into Milan, Italy. And on today is Subio, one of the greatest Portuguese football player, a player of all time, died in Lisbon in 2014. And in 2005 and today, the dwarf planet Eris was discovered in an image taken 2 years earlier at the Palomar Observatory in California on today, the 5th of January in 2005. Then, waiting for the Godot in 1953, a hugely influenced and doing play by Samuel Beckett was staged for the first time in Paris. And today, Daniel Arap Moi was sworn in as president of Kenya for his 5th consecutive term today, the 5th of January in 1989 on today. Have you heard about Bruce Springsteen? Released his debut album, Greetings from the Arboretum Park in the New York on today. Let me say good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and welcome today on this edition of the program. Remember, we are live and you can also play using the code *799 *11#. And remember, we said to you earlier on the beginning of the year that there are more excitement coming for Liberia, especially those who will take that time and play the game. You may just be lying down or sitting in a chair in your living room, play and become a winner, become a millionaire, become a house owner, become a motorbike owner, owner of a brand new cell phones. Nobody be in your place, in your comfort zone, taking your phone and dialing the code and you play. Right now, you can dial *799 *11# be your MTN mobile money users. Just $100 Liberian will set you up for winning 4,000 Liberian dollars on this afternoon. So you are welcome and you can be a part. But there are good news in Liberia. Good news. Let me say good news. Good news. Yeah, good news. Good news for Liberia. You listened earlier on, Ambassador. Let me say good afternoon, good evening, and welcome today. You listened earlier on. You had Ambassador Louis Brown, Louis Garcia Brown, there with a very perfect and a unique speech where the official Liberia and other countries were officially installed into the Liberia, the United Nations headquarters, the non-permanent seat, as a matter of fact. So the flags are being installed. As well as Liberia, there was a formal ceremony held for Liberia, marking the assumption of his role as a non-permanent member of the council from 2026 to 2027 term. And the flag installation is a ceremony to welcome 5 newly elected members. Remember, the Bakrim, Cambodia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Latvia, and Liberia were all present, And that symbolized the start of their 2-year service on the 15-member body charged for maintaining international peace and security upon. And remember, Liberia, as I said earlier on, Ambassador Louis G. Brown, representing Liberia. Remember, he is a permanent representative to the United Nations, who have reaffirmed Liberia's readiness and determination to contribute meaningfully to the work of the Security Council. Let me say welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Let me say welcome, and let me just say happy birthday to, yeah, you know, we're getting old now, Uncle. Getting old, yeah. Greatness, Veronica Natasha Brooks celebrates her birthday today, 5 years. Yeah, small. Gradually, you know. And I say to you, grow strong in wisdom, and may the peace of God be with you as you grow up to be a very great person that will walk on this. I say today, I wish you success celebrating 5 years, and you will be great. Hope that you enjoy your day. It's just that you have to be, and it's good that you have to be on the campus to celebrate with your friends. Yeah, and that's good. I love that. That's good. And I want to say thanks to your father and mother for the care upon Ambassador Brooks, bringing it up the right way. Let me say welcome. Please enjoy your day, and after war, yeah, we will talk that. Uncle and daughter will talk that upon the gifts are loading for you. Don't worry, baby. Enjoy your day. Celebrate 5 years, and you grow strong, and till you get old. Let me say welcome to all of you on today. You know, this thing is very serious. You know, I got 2 important points to speak to today. And it is actually good to see Liberia. You know, that's why we said it's a good thing. Liberia taking the stand, returning to the Security Council, reflected a lot for this country. And it will give Liberia a lot of great opportunity, engaged with the international community and a commitment to promoting dialogue, cooperation, respect for international laws, and also addressing global challenges upon. We want to say thanks to the President and thanks to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister Sarah Beslow-Yanti, celebrates such a great milestone upon, and thanks to the ambassadors. Yeah, remember Ambassador Brown sits there tightly and pushing Liberia kids. And Liberia elections is the National Security Council mark a very important diplomatic milestone, and this actually underscores the international confidence in the country leadership and contribution to peace building. Because remember, we were here, we followed that election, even at the benchmark where we were thinking about Liberia had more than that. That shows the confidence. Where other countries say, yes, it's time, with the leadership we have in the country, it's time that Liberia come up, and it's time Liberia participate in this area. And as a matter of fact, Liberia non-permanent membership, Liberia be expected to participate in the crucial deliberation on global conflicts, regarding sanctions, peacekeeping missions, emerging security threats, over the next 2 years. So, and our resistance, from our leadership currently, place Liberia just in our position to say yes, you will do more. And remember, you remember there, Liberia again was just where we were re-elected again in category A. Remember, Liberia election there in category A at the maritime level, the IMO Council, the 34th Assembly section, was another great thing. and the Liberia Maritime Organization there in London, Liberia emerged victoriously for the second consecutive times. Remember, Liberia secured 141 votes out of 169 countries, and that means Liberia voted again to maintain its stand in Category A, a slot at the IMO Council. So good, we want to say good thanks to our folks, thanks to the government, thanks to those who are there. Remember, they are the IMO, Liberia representative Robert Bade there, and the head of the Maritime Authority here in Liberia, so much great. Council of Zanza was there, making Liberia case again, and Liberia emerged victoriously. Imagine Liberia among countries. If I take you back to that process, the IMO Council results show that China with 15, that is Greece 153, Italy 155, Japan 150, and Liberia 141. So just tell you how far Liberia has come. Imagine neck to neck with Panama. Remember, Panama was elected 148 there, and the Korea 154, Russia Federation 87. So you know that Russia, they stand there. But Liberia, I want to say thanks to Liberia again. But Liberia now, our flag, what does this mean for the country? Remember, every time such a great event come about, and seeing Liberia partaking is so important. Proud of Liberia, raising the flag again at the United Nations Security Council Day. One has started with the flag and showing that Liberia again is recognized. I will take you back. I'll take a break where you listen to Ambassador Louis G. Brown. They're speaking on behalf of Liberia, representing the country. We'll take our break. You listen to him there. Let me say, it's a great milestone. Liberia, what does this mean for Liberia back home? Some of you may have some of your comments and want to say Liberia, this is where we are. And remember, there was comments from all corners. Some said we should not be elected because we're not prepared now. We still got a lot more to do. We still need to grow. So now it's not a time. What I say, it was Liberia time. Let Liberia come back. Remember, after so many decades, so many decades, Liberia again sit at that position. Let me take this break. Listen to the Ambassador Louis Brown making a very serious and a great hairwave here. Let's take this break. Listen to him.
Liberia has officially begun its two-year term on the United Nations Security Council, starting today, January 2nd, 2026, and running until December 31st, 2027. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Liberia will serve as a non-permanent member, working with other nations to promote peace and global security. As part of the installation ceremony, the Liberian flag was raised today at the United Nations headquarters in New York at 5 p.m. Liberian time, marking Liberia's former entry onto the Security Council. Liberia ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Louis Brown, represented the country.
I bring warm New Year greetings from His Excellency Joseph Newman Boykai, President of the Republic of Liberia, and extend Liberia's sincere appreciation to Slovenia, Algeria, Guyana, Sierra Leone, and the Republic of Korea for their service and stewardship of the Security Council during the 2024-2025 terms. Liberia congratulates Somalia on assuming the presidency of the Council and takes this moment to thank Kazakhstan for sustaining this important tradition. It is one that reminds us that membership of the Security Council carries not only procedural obligation, but also deep responsibility. Today, as our flag, the Lone Star, is installed in these halls, we mark more than a ceremonial change. It is a defining moment in Liberia's national journey and a reflection of President Boykai's enduring belief that peace is both a privilege and certainly a duty. 8 years ago, the United Nations flag was lowered in Liberia to signal the end of the peacekeeping mission and the return of full responsibility for peace and security to the government and people of Liberia. That moment challenged us to prove that peace could endure beyond the presence of peacekeepers. Through commitment,
Liberia is ready to serve. That is the ambassador there, Ambassador Louis G. Brown. Liberia is ready, and for sure, I think we ready to serve the Security Council. Really, you know, yeah, you know, I don't know what's rumbling through your mind, but this is where we are, Liberia. And let me say to the ambassador, yeah, Liberia is surely ready to serve, and that's the reason why we are at that position upon. You know, I'm going to move forward. Let me say welcome to all of you. We'll take calls on that. Remember, we value the comments. They are the building block to our modern and emerging democracy. And it's always good to know your thoughts on this issue. But it's a great milestone on a serious note. Liberia has resumed the first day Liberia there, and we, if an ambassador were, he said Liberia is ready to serve, and we are ready to serve the country. So just to inform you, Liberia flag was installed at the United Nations Security Council. So today, if you go there, if you are in New York at the headquarters, you will see Liberia flag among other flags there at the council for the 2026-2027 term. What does it mean for Liberia? Imagine, as far back as the 60s, who once served at this position. Liberia again, after being elected, after several moves, positive ones, in making or bringing the image of this country. I want to say thanks to Foreign Minister Sarah Besley Yanti and our team, all the ambassadors across the country, and who all who made this a success. Thanks to the President. Again, that Liberia can be at this level. He said Liberia is ready to serve. This is very much important, and I want you to listen to this. When you listen, after listening to this, I got something else to talk about. We'll go to the LERTI report that reveals several issues in our country over the years. And yeah, you know, our mineral resources that are being extracted from this country and coming to employment. And one key issue that I want to talk about during that period, there are several issues there, but one key on the agenda, it is the issue about foreign national, permanent foreign employees that are in Liberia. Remember, this just start on what has been going on with the Hulubalu from the House, that is from the Senate to the Labor Ministry, that Liberians are looking for jobs, and jobs are being given to foreign nationals and have been proven on several occasions through footages, videos, that foreign nationals are doing work that people are doing. And now the LATI report has come up to tell us that just in the Bee Mountain area, a specific amount of permanent foreign employees, we're not saying foreign don't work in this country, but what kind of job are they doing? How many gold were extracted from Liberia? Diamond, iron ore. We look at the report in there, but I want to conclude with this speech by Ambassador Louis Brown. So much heartwarming and spirited. Let me say, listen to this again. Listen to this. I want you to listen to this so that when you want to make a comment, you make a very good interaction when the times and the lines are open. Listen to Ambassador Brown here.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Liberia will serve as a non-permanent member, working with other nations to promote peace and global security. As part of the installation ceremony, the Liberian flag was raised today at the United Nations headquarters in New York at 5 p.m. Liberian time, marking Liberia's former entry onto the Security Council. Liberia ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Louis Brown, represented the country.
I bring warm New Year greetings from His Excellency Joseph Newman Boykai, President of the Republic of Liberia, and extend Liberia's sincere appreciation to Slovenia, Algeria, Guyana, Sierra Leone, and the Republic of Korea for their service and stewardship of the Security Council during the 2024-2025 terms. Liberia congratulates Somalia on assuming the presidency of the Council and takes this moment to thank Kazakhstan for sustaining this important tradition. It is one that reminds us that membership of the Security Council carries not only procedural obligation, but also deep responsibility. Today, as our flag, the Lone Star, is installed in these halls, we mark more than a ceremonial change. It is a defining moment in Liberia's national journey and a reflection of President Boykai's enduring belief that peace is both a privilege and certainly a duty. 8 years ago, the United Nations flag was lowered in Liberia to signal the end of the peacekeeping mission and the return of full responsibility for peace and security to the government and people of Liberia. That moment challenged us to prove that peace could endure.
Still have great men and women still across. You may not be hearing their names frequently or often, but they are there pushing Liberia case. I want to say thanks to the team out there who all have made it possible. You know that you can't just root out a name. Sarah Breslow T, the foreign minister of Liberia, who was in the Luke County of this country, the other countries on the globe, in Africa, and on the continent, making sure that she can solicit the votes, to bring the votes out, so that Liberia can sit at this point. He said, it's not a mistake, and Liberia is determined to serve up there, and the position to have Liberia upon, the nameplate, you see Liberia, they see Africa, but Liberia will act in a global sense upon, and Liberia's own experience has reaffirms the sustainable peace. That sustainable peace is built through dialogue, inclusion, and respect for human dignity. Liberians, are you thinking that way? Imagine, outside the world, you are being portrayed as such. Imagine Liberia comes from a security background, guided by the experience, and anchored in the United Nations Charter. Imagine, we welcome commitment to democracy because we have lived the course of it, and we come determined to build bridges, encourage consensus. Let me say, oh yeah, I love this speech by Ambassador Louis Brown there. And he said Liberia will contribute constructively to a safer world. Are you thinking like that? Are you thinking as such? Are those thoughts the one rumbling through your minds? But let me tell you today, since the second, Liberia flag is flying among other nations there at the United Nations Security Council. And Liberia, among others, have resumed their position there. Let me say welcome. Yeah, this is one of the, in a long while, one of the best speeches I've heard from Liberia. In a long while, yeah. Especially with the name, Louis Brown. Yeah. Great. Let me say congratulations to the team. And don't forget, Liberia will contribute constructively to a safer world. Are you also contributing constructively to your country? Are you contributing constructively to your community? Are you contributing constructively to your district? Are you contributing constructively to your county, to your family, to your neighbors? Oh, Liberia, we have to. If not, if you are not, we have to rethink and shape our mind in that direction, because if we can contribute constructively to the world, we can do this for ourselves. And the world depends on us, depends on you and I to live this exemplary life, because we'll be engaged with other nations in conflict, in peace building. We will be engaged with others. He said, through consensus building, through dialogue, and will contribute to those issues out there. Let me say thank you to the team again. Bravo. Thanks to the team for making this success, and we also encourage you to serve well. Yeah. Liberia, serve well. And we also want you home to support Liberia. You know, while Liberia joined the United Nations Security Council, I heard that a former Minister of Mines and Energy was warning against the geopolitical recklessness as Liberia joined this space upon. But I want to talk about something here. I want to talk about the LERTI report. Imagine, talk about this employment thing. The report shows that the extractive sector employ about 19,345 people just in 2023. And of that number, 16,602 were men. 2,743 were women. And also, the report says 1,110 permanent foreign employees just to be mounting. Imagine. And this has raised a lot of concerns about local employment, about opportunity, about skills transfer, about long-term benefit for host communities. Imagine, you go to these places where minerals have been extracted, the people there lie in ruin, poverty, all on the faces of the people. You got a surrounding, clean, safe drinking water is a problem. Infrastructure is a problem. And there are sons and daughters in those areas. It raises a serious, persistent concern. I don't know about you. And this issue about transparency, accountability, improved governance into Liberia resource sector. Let's go to the report. According to the report, Beer Mountain alone exported 12,146 kilograms of gold just in 2023. And this is valued approximately at about 653.6 million. And this is accounting to about 56% of our total mining export for the year. Imagine how much did the people benefited. Imagine. And additional figure came out. In the report, they placed the B Mountain total gold export value at about 691.25 million United States dollars. So if you look in total, in 2023, the extractive sector exported commodity worth at about 1.35 billion just in 2023. Imagine, gold took about 660.34 million, while iron ore took about 482.7 million. Imagine that. Imagine the B Mountain Mining Corporation, ArcelorMittal together contributed about 93% of the country's total mining exports, up from 91% in 2022 to 93%. And the report said this further underscored the dominance of a few major players in the sector. Yet, residents of Grand Cayman County say the wealth that came from the county from the gold mining has not been translated or has not improved their living standard in the county. Liberia. Then, earlier on, the figure that I read to you, 19,345 persons employed at 1,110 permanent foreign employees. Bricks laying, some of those jobs. Chef or caterer, some of those jobs. Driving, some of those jobs. Are those jobs out of the structure of Liberians able to work? Aren't Liberians qualified to serve in those positions? Aren't Liberians? Imagine. Grand Cayman County, for the communities there, the report said millions of dollars is being extracted every year. But the expectation, the resources worth, can it translate into the better lives of the people? Because all you see is deeper poverty, deprivation, discontent in the eyes of the people and the lives of the people there. Whereas gold of such a worth or such a value is been extracted from there every year. And this is another year. And normally, the ERTR validation in January 2026 is pressure is increasing on both the government and the construction company because they have to ensure that the country mineral will benefit ordinary Liberians. Are they benefiting? If you go today to Grand Cayman County, Can you say yes that they're taking the gold from? And Grand Cape Mountainians are saying that the minerals that have been extracted, they benefit employment, infrastructure, education, health, roads, still a challenge to the people. And if transparency must go beyond, not just by these kind of reports, but being transmitted in the lives of the people, then economic development in those mining areas will be visible. Liberia. But this is where we are. Are we always going to say this? Now, some other groupings there are arguing that transparency must be beyond just the figures, but should be reflected in the lives of the people. Liberia. Imagine 691,254,339. And the employment rate to have 19,000, and out of that 19,000, only 2,000 are females, and 1,000 plus are foreigners. And Liberians are still asking, where are the jobs? Jobs or employment is still high. So according to the report now by the LTR, this is it. They are now saying that joblessness and increased hardship in Liberia, and these are some of the statistics these are coming from. And imagine they say just the B mountain alone. Tell me about the other concessions. Tell me about other concessions. Tell me about the M&G Gold, ArcelorMittal. Tell me about other concessions. How many of these cases are there? And you know, when this thing came about earlier on, it was almost like an everyday thing. The senator of Muscle County was stating that these jobs these work permits are given to foreign nationals. Let it be stated in those work permits about the kind of job that people are doing. Everybody wasn't there. And when the minister was called back to produce the category of jobs, there was a serious debate again. I think you heard recently there was some uproar that, you know, it's a personal attack, and Senator Dillon always, he do anything about Dillon, Senator Johnson, our kids, Senator Johnson, they listen to her. Now he do it to the labor minister. And it became serious. And we saw one afternoon, the Minister of Labor, Senator Dillon, and other key folks had a reconciliatory meeting that this is not so. Don't see that I want to push you to your grave or push you somewhere. I'm not pushing about it, but it's just in the interest of the people. These are some of the things that are coming. I think you saw recently a labor inspector was also dismissed with the issue of a fake work permit. Liberia. But this is it. The LRT has put out a report highlighting heightened joblessness and increased hardship in the country, and in quantity and value of minerals, structures upon. And they highlighted just one. What's about the others? You know, it's so frustrating when you talk on the other side. You say, yeah, like, bro, be key on this consultative dialogue, consensus building. You come home again. Yes, but it's up there for you today. Let me say welcome to everybody. It's out there for you. We'll take our break. Remember, we'll travel outside Liberia. And we'll come back. We'll go to lines. Let me say welcome to all of you. Share the video and invite others to be a part on today's edition of the program. Let me say welcome, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. And this is where we are, Liberia. You can share the video. Let me say Mark Vanny Loki is watching. Mark, thank you. It's Happy New Year, watching from Maryland County, Harper City. Today, Zondo Livingstone Jackson is watching. Thank you, Zondo. And Halim Singh F. Sano is watching. See, right? Anthony H. Fayar is watching. And we say welcome to all of you. Please share the video and invite others to be a part, so that once you are watching, please share the video and invite others. Let me say Mark Vanny is watching, Maryland County. Moses Toma Soul Clinic is watching. Anthony Fayar is watching. Thank you. Darlington Reb Kwanu is watching. It's the China Mall. David Richard said, Soul Clinic Committee Nathaniel watching. David Bakari is watching, Real Light. Abraham Human said, good afternoon, Mr. Vam, Abraham Human. From Bernard Farm, Town Junction, Three Brothers, Black Factory. Happy New Year to the Koo family, thank you. And Superboy Andrew Buku Gamoyu said, please share the video. Kona Samson Coons, I'm watching this afternoon from Nimba. Look at to Buddha, thank you. Laluba Afa say, good afternoon, Ambassador Va. Happy New Year, following from the Liberty Christian Center Prayer Mountain. Jacob Nua Quia said, Innovative Youth Alliance in Do Community, thank you. Jacob Snow Brown. So I'm watching from Tuzon Buri City, Jidia District, Sano County, thank you. Emmanuel J. Cano, thank you. T. Nicholas Barker, please share the video. And Hilton with a Jado from Sano Greenville. Good afternoon, Hilton. Always following there. Zle Prince Gaze, good afternoon. I'm watching for Compline, Nima County, Fury. Ambassador Pee Wee Kennedy is watching live. And Abraham Wutu is watching. So I'm following Abraham, thank you. Please share the video and invite others. So this is where we are. And this is the early RTI report is out up there. And Liberia started already its job on a 2 year period. And the non-permanent seat of the United Nations Security Council, and Liberia started its duty and represented there the permanent representative of the United Nations, Ambassador Louis Garcia Brown there. Emmanuel Goto Colley is watching from Bone County. Emmanuel, thank you. And yeah, you know, it's good. You know, the first day of school, good to be in school. First day. First day of work, good to be at work. Especially your first time. So Liberia started already. Liberia flag is now, if you go to New York today, and you look there, you look at all the flags, you'll see Liberia. Yeah. So I want to say congratulations, Liberia. Please go and serve. Make Liberia proud. And all of you who will be opportune to sit at that level to represent the country, make sure you're not just alone. Like the ambassador said, you see the name tag, the name plate. You see the Liberia. You see Africa. But you know that we are global. We cut across. We're not limited. And as per our experience, we are prepared. Let me say good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. We'll take a very short break. We'll cross outside Liberia to check out some development on the African scenes. When we come back, we'll go to the lines 0775 919 919 0880 919 919 are the numbers. But first, let's travel outside Liberia and check out what's going on today. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Welcome to all of you joining us live. Good afternoon.
Peace anywhere. Beyond the presence of peacekeepers, assuming the presidency of the council, and takes this moment to thank Kazakhstan for sustaining this important tradition. It is one that reminds us that membership of the Security Council carries not only procedural obligation, but also deep responsibility. Today, as our flag, the Lone Star, is installed in these halls, we mark more than a ceremonial change. It is a defining moment in Liberia's national journey and a reflection of President Boykai's enduring belief that peace is both a privilege and certainly a duty. 8 years ago, the United Nations flag was lowered in Liberia to signal the end of the peacekeeping mission and the return of full responsibility for peace and security to the government and people of Liberia. That moment challenged us to prove that peace could endure beyond the presence of peacekeepers. Through commitment to democracy, institutional reforms, and national reconciliation, Liberia has met the challenge. More than 22 years after the comprehensive peace agreement, Liberia stands peaceful, democratic, and stable. Our flag now flies here not as a symbol of recovery, but as a symbol of responsibility and a testament of our readiness to serve. After 65 years, Liberia returns to the Security Council through its first full elected mandate, supported by 181 member states. That vote, to us, reflects global confidence in Liberia's voice and in the values President Boykai has continued to articulate, the values of dialogue over division, cooperation over conflict, and responsibility over isolation. Let's be clear. Liberia is here because multilateralism worked, because the Security Council acted with resolve, because the African Union and ECOWAS stood firm, and because partners across the world believed that even nations emerging from conflict can contribute to global peace. President Boykai's vision could not be clearer. Peace anywhere strengthens peace everywhere. Insecurity anywhere.
A presidential decree, a plan to alter the capital, which has been situated on the Bioko Island, separate to the mainland, has been in the works for almost 2 decades. The country's President Teodoro Obiang Mabanzogo said the move was strategic reasons. Another motivating factor to move the capital to the heart of the equatorial forest on the mainland was the urban growth of the Malabo. According to the decree, presidential service, government agencies, and public enterprises would aim to transfer from Malabo within 1 year. The decree does not state whether the embassy will also relocate. Let's travel to Nigeria, where Nigeria death toll rises to about 50 in the Niger State market attack. The death toll for an armed attack on a market in Nigeria, Niger State, has risen to 50, according to local report. Gunmen stormed into the Kasuwa Danji market into Dimo village on Saturday. They opened fire on residents, abducted several people, and looted food supplies. A mass funeral was held for the victims, while the wounded were taken in the nearby hospital for treatment. Nigeria President Bola Tinubu condemned the attack and said he has directed security officials to hunt down the gunmen and rescue the hostages. Still into Nigeria, Tinubu also said he has ordered for security operations to be reinforced. Local residents said the attacker, who had been lurking in the area for almost a week before the assault. Saturday market attack is also believed to be part of a wave of raids that began Friday in the nearby community, including the Akwari and Bogu. Residents said that there have been no visible security presence since the violence began. The attack of the Kasuwang Deji village happened near the Papiri community, where more than 300 school children and their teachers were kidnapped from the Catholic school in November. More on that, you go there and check it out. Let's now travel to Guinea, where the Guinea Supreme Court confirms Doumbouya's presidential victory. Let's now go to Guinea. The Guinea Supreme Court on Sunday validated an overwhelming presidential election victory for the junta chief Mamadi Doumbouya, crediting him with about 86.72% of the votes. This confirms provisional results announced earlier last week following the December 28 election that excluded opposition heavyweight from the ballot. The runner-up, Abdoulaye Yoro Blade, won 6.59% of the vote, also unchanged from the previous result. Blade, who had challenged the electoral results in filing with the Supreme Court, has since voluntarily withdrawn the complaint. The court first President Fodi Bangura said he also announced the final election tally. In his address to the nation after official results were released, Doumbouya adopted a unifying tone. Today, there are neither winner or loser. There is only one Guinea, united and indivisible. The president-elect said in a broadcast late Sunday, calling on citizens to build a new Guinea, a Guinea of peace, justice, shared prosperity, and fully assumed political and economic sovereignty. Mamadi Doumbouya came to power in 2001 coup that ousted President Alpha Conde. This year, presidential election was widely seen as a means to legalize his stay into power. More on that, you go there and check it out to get a full detail coming out there for you. Finally, before we go to the last, let's now travel to where ECOWAS urges respect for Venezuela's independence after the United States operations. The Economic Community of West African States has expressed concern over the situation in Venezuela after the United States captured its president, Nicolas Maduro. and carry out military strikes on the capital, Caracas. ECOWAS urged the international community to respect the independence of the territorial integrity of Venezuela. The bloc also expressed support for the country's population as they shape the future of their country through an inclusive process, it said in a statement on Sunday night. Over the weekend, the U.S. captured President Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, in the military operations many legal experts describe as illegal. The pair were transferred to New York City, where they are detained, to the Brooklyn jail and face challenges tied to drug trafficking and terrorism. The United States President Donald Trump has vowed to assert control over Venezuela oil reserves and said the U.S. could run the country for the time being. ECOWAS acknowledged the rights of states to fight international crimes, but called on all countries to respect international law, especially Article 2.4 of the United Nations Charter, which demands that states refrain from the threat or use of force against other nations. The bloc also aligned itself with the African Union, which has called for restraint and dialogue, including among Venezuelans themselves. More on that, you go there and check it out to get a full detail coming out there for you today. We'll now go to the line 0775-919-919, 0880-919-919. Added numbers to be a part of the conversation. Please stick within the box to issues we have talked about. On today's edition of the program. Remember, Liberia stars on a very fresh note among other nations after being elected on the non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council. Liberia already started the work 2026, 2027 upon, and you listen to the LARTI report upon. Let me say good afternoon, good morning. Let me talk to my first caller on the line. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Shiu, and I call you from Addison. Thanks to you for the show. And let me use the occasion to congratulate Liberia on her tendency as the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member. You know, you have said it all, and let me also congratulate Louis Brown, the UN ambassador representing Liberia at the United Nations. He spoke very well. His speech was heart-touching, and it was educated, and it was also informative. You know, what I want to say to us back home, right now, Liberia has a very huge responsibility within the international community. And if we look at the role we have to play on the Security Council, is to mediate peace around the world and settle conflict, and also make sure that the world is stable. So if you look at us back home, if you move everywhere, whatever community you find yourself in order to now take on a leadership as a member of the United Nations, see yourself in your community as a member of the United Nations, as a leader in your community.
Yeah, we are member already. We're waiting in our seat.
Yeah, but me, as individually, as a citizen, see yourself in your community as a leader. Because when your country is being represented over there, we cannot be represented and creating peace in other countries and having conflict back home. I want to also call on those grassroots or demonstrators who continue every day, we're not going to work so money that is demonstrating. And even coming out there, soon is demonstrating. It's not the time for it. For the next 2 years, we want to beg your whole your peace. Let that leadership in the international community and focus on how we can bring our country back on track
Okay.
to other nations.
Okay. Thank you. You're welcome, Jishu. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Now, Louis Brown was protesting and saying all of us are suffering the country. The last time I checked, maybe the young man who started it, the last time I checked, Louis Brown, he protested. You remember that? The same man who's speaking all the books. And you know, speaking English has not been like remembrance. All of us here can speak. So English has never and will never be a problem. Our president was praised by Donald Trump for speaking good English. Look, you say this person and your actions are different. You pretend that all is well, like
back home, your people are taking our people buying. Your government is being accused of abusing human rights. Your government is accused of torturing people. Your government is accused of police brutality. But you say there, please don't do it. Nobody say, nobody know where to protest. But now the protest is. Is the protest okay now? Liberia now enjoy Louis Brown. You were here now. When Louis Brown protested, but somebody there to say, we should not get up to protest.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nathaniel, and let me say good afternoon to our many listeners.
Yeah, Ramsey, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, to our listening audience, I'm Ramsey Joseph from district number 5, most of our country. Look now, I'm very, very much happy indeed to see my motherland, to see my motherland country seal flying across the world. Today, our country image has been restored to our international community. Yes, indeed, when you and I go anywhere today or tomorrow, you'll be fully represented and well-known in the world. Today, our country still is no more longer in studio making music. A leader been accused of lobbying to cabinet minister wife or minister wife and what have you. This government is capable, and we pray for good success. That's what I can tell you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, President.
Lutolo Minisaki, good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you for your recognition. I want to appreciate you very kindly this afternoon for the show. You President, when the governor say you speak with them for you. And as a matter of fact, I can see our country is moving on. But if this were we the citizens to change our minds and act.
Oh, Luther, you slip off the line. You got harmonized. I never cut you off. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I want to be grateful to God for the position that God has given us and through the past leadership. But let me be frank with you now. You cannot have a leader who is hateful, running behind people. Like the brother said, the one that didn't want to call Louis Brown, he was one the master manner when they had that child suffering operation and he spoke without even speaking. I mean, the peacemaker. Today he's sitting over there where he spoke all the good things about Liberia. But I would like to say, let us pray to God that God will pass through some leader or the leader of man to hold on to the peace.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Barcelona.
You're welcome.
I'm Sandra Gilmore, joining the Portland District 3.
Go ahead, you're live.
Let me say thanks to you and thanks to Ambassador Louis Brown. Yes, at least we are happy as a Liberian to see our country fly out there. Imagine my pastor went to Africa, flying pastor plane, the Liberian plane, and they asked me which country is this? Is it Liberia? I'm from Liberia. Cape Town, some people don't know Liberia plane, but at least we thank God that our country will be recognized and around the world will be recognized wherever we go. Thank you for your opportunity.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good afternoon.
Oh, thank you. Let me say good afternoon to you.
This is Bobby.
Yeah, afternoon here to you. Now, this is Bobby as a uniform. I joined the discussion specifically because let me appreciate the first thing she said, appreciation, and the chair conference said, Senator Ibrahim Arsenal, because any cabinet, any past regime who did that said, and the current regime gave a complete blessing. So this thing is a strong collaboration project for our country, Liberia, to be called the National Security Council. It has been a lot of research, show a lot of research that our country, that the law can know that Liberia has a president, that is moving forward and we are not going backwards. And we pray that to maintain our case on the National Security Council to follow the better decision our country will move on. Thank you so much, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good afternoon. Let's talk to you.
Good afternoon, Nathaniel.
This is the public defender. Wo yi there?
Thank you so kindly. I want to appreciate Liberia for the achievement at the level of the United Nations.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to speak to our verdict after that. There is nowhere in the world that is 100% okay. So we should appreciate our government for the milestone achievement. There is a good achievement that we should all celebrate, whether it's in position or opposition. And number two, I want to tell the president of Guinea, thank you. At least for now, stressing the people, the people listening, because overthrowing and what I feel is not good. Thank God that he has taken power the rightful way, and we wish him well. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Let me talk to another caller here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nathaniel.
Yeah, go ahead, Samuel.
Thank you so much for the recognition. Let me say good afternoon to His Excellency President Bouaka and Honorable Christopher Unanga. So I join from Upper Mark giving member of the United Party in the Letter Bureau. Let me appreciate you for the important national discussion. The man has said, when the gentleman brought it, I brought it to say, thanks to the government. It took hard work, it took professionalism.
Imagine since the 60s, we see ourselves realizing this position again.
Yeah. I mean, a few years back, we were on a road of being shop, but now we are on a road of making decisions for the world alike. So I think it's a good thing by the president, those who he appointed to that ministry, Minister of Foreign Affairs. I think that there are people who carry some level of credibility when it comes to diplomatic approach. So yes, we Brian and others, they are doing well for the country. While they spoke again yesterday, they were speaking on reason. Today, you are seeing that they are proving that while they were speaking again, they are come to overturn what was happening wrong and they are turning out to good. So thank to them and thank to the president and thank to all of you who flagging.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
You're welcome.
Okay. The name is testimony charge. I do call from Chicotan.
Go ahead, testimony.
Thank you now for your talking point. You know, that it is laughable to hear people in Barcelona, Louis Brown, talking about, oh yeah, Liberia, so no protest, that. Okay, let's be clear now. The first time I ever listened to Ambassador Brown was 2011, when the former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, was in power and she was contesting as a president of the Republic of Liberia. Louis Brown, Ambassador Brown, they are people that actually they are after, they are self-benefit. Ambassador Brown made a statement at the time that draw the attention of the president, former president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, to say that actually there is no president in this state who has his message. And this read all of it, the office of the president candidate, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. He made that statement at that time. President Cheney's attention was drawn by him. The calling to the information ministry at the time.
So testimony, you saying now that because of Louis, well, I can't know. Let's go to the issue. You go outside the box. Let's go to the issue. So you're telling me now that because of Louis Brown, we should withdraw from the security nomination seat. We should withdraw from there.
No, right now when you talk about who is in the United Nations, Louis Brown right now is the face of the United Nations for Liberia. So I want to discuss him as an individual before we go.
Yeah, but we're talking about we're not discussing Louis Brown individual. We're talking about Liberia gains at that point. Thank you. Good afternoon. Let's talk to another caller here. You want to discuss Louis Brown as an individual. I'm not discussing Louis Brown. I'm talking about Liberia win today. When Liberia elected, Liberia has started already. The flag is flying. I'm saying the flag. And you look at Louis and say something. He said the nameplate will be Liberia. The seat will be Africa. So it's not individual thing again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead, you live.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Julius Andrew. I'm calling from New Jerusalem, Louisiana Township.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think Liberia have taken, getting our recognition within the international body for our flag to be among Committee of Nations at the higher echelon. I think it's a best step in the record.
And there's the issue. You know, many a times I know that even when you take Nathaniel VAR, you say Nathaniel VAR, people get all that. It's always the case. But let's look at where we have come from. Well, imagine Liberia since the 60s. Check how many decades have passed. Today we're there. Are we not happy that we're there? Are we not happy that we are at our seat today? Are we? When we will be sitting among other people. And one thing I said, don't you think that sitting among other nations to talk about peace, peacekeeping, to build consensus and serious dialogue, will it not help us? Don't you think that we are going to learn from that process? And if we are saying that we are divided here, will we be able to stay for anybody, or even the Lord that voted for us? Imagine other countries, they voted for Liberia to be there. Just recently, at the IMO, 141 countries among 169 voted Liberia. So is it that we're not believing in ourselves? Are we saying that we never had a mistake? We had. And let the ambassador say, even our mistakes we have had over the time, we had war yet, should make us more important to the conversation to sit there. Because the other countries have never had this period like us. We have gone 14 years just among ourselves. And we're able to sit and say that we're going to be back, going to resolve this thing. If you can do it, you can do it. We can tell them we can do this thing. I don't know how people look at it. Is it about individual? And liberal politics have always been. I know Louis Brown came as a politician, he was there, he said this, and after a war, when he supported the likes of the Retire campaign, he ran a very serious protest. And after the election, the government would have said, hey, you protested, we want you. But he said, no, come, let's shift the dynamics. Let's shift this whole thing. Come. And he was sent at a permanent mission. You know, I don't want to put an open Pandora box because we had other ambassadors there at the permanent mission. We heard what happened there. We saw, and we were never opportune to get this privilege we get today. We saw other people there. Instead of pushing for Liberia, they were running after different things. They were looking on the skies. They were looking on the, they were doing different things there. And they had their complaint came. We saw, we've been here. But it's not about that. About the country. About Africa. If the rest of Africa can celebrate Liberia being there, because our being there represent Africa to be precise. Our being there represent Africa. That's why he said, you will see the nameplate, Liberia. The position, you see Africa. So we're not going to go play for Liberia or Africa. He said a word. For a safer word. Is this your thought? Or we should go back and say Louis Brown was here and pick up somebody fool so that I won't go and discuss there? Maybe it would be. Maybe. But let me say welcome. Thanks to all of you. We got to go. Thanks to all our folks here. Emmanuel Joe Getimi said, Emmanuel Joe Topa watching from Johnsonville. Thank you, Emmanuel. And thanks to all of you who are joining us. Please share the video and invite others always to be with us. We are live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live across the world. And whatever part of the world we are live there. I want to say welcome and thanks to all of you always joining us. I've been so good. I've been here with T. Nicholas Barkley. But until tomorrow, we'll be back here on the 6th day of January. Remember, we're just in the 5 days of the year. And 5 days into January. Good afternoon and the first working Monday. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. I'm your humble servant. I'm Nathaniel. Join me tomorrow for another heartwarming conversation about Liberia and the rest of the world.
Challenged us to prove that peace could endure beyond the presence of peacekeepers. Through commitment to democracy, institutional reforms, and national reconciliation, Liberia has met the challenge. More than 22 years after the comprehensive peace agreement, Liberia stands peaceful, democratic, and stable. Our flag now flies here not as a symbol of recovery, but as a symbol of responsibility and a testament of our readiness to serve. After 65 years, Liberia returns to the Security Council through its first full elected mandate, supported by 181 member states. That vote, to us, reflects global confidence in Liberia's voice and in the values President Barkai has continued challenged us to prove that peace could endure beyond the presence of peacekeepers. Through commitment to democracy, institutional reforms, and national reconciliation, Liberia has met the challenge. More than 22 years after the comprehensive peace agreement, Liberia stands